Yo, look, we're gonna start it off straight off like this. Those people are not your real friends. And I want you to start asking yourself these questions. If you got off social media, if you disappeared, you still got your phone where people can call you, but if you disappeared for 3 months, how many of them people will call you? You can count them on your hand, can't you? Then I want you to even stretch it for a year. How many of those people that are looking at your stuff on Instagram that make hit you up on Instagram or any of this other stuff that's virtual? Because at the end of the day, what we have all started to blend our lives with, which I won't say all, there's a lot of people that are actually deactivating off of certain things. But when you get to a point, you realize that that's not a real world. The virtual world, the phones, that's why the biggest people always say the internet is not a real thing. It's not real. It's not real life. And that's important because if you start to combine those two, then you will blur the line and start to believe that some of the people are really there for you when they're not. A good way to really ask yourself, are these people there for you, is you got to ask yourself these questions. Would they show up to your funeral? Would, if you were depressed, could you call these people up and tell them what you're going through? You probably can't. And there's a reason why you probably can't. The reason why you can't is because they're not real friends. They're not really there for you. They're just there to look and see what you're doing. They're watching you. And I even had to realize this with a certain amount, because even if you are following people from high school, you got to remember that people from high school or have followed you up from college or any of this type of stuff, they may follow you, or even at a job, they may follow you or check in on you literally just to see where you're gone or where you've been. If you've exceeded or went past what you were just at than them. Like at the end of the day, y'all both were at some point at the same level in school, and when they start to see that y'all were right here, and then you may get up a little bit more than them, they may feel like, oh, dang. They might start to get jealous, might to get a little bit more envious. And then you got people that you are on the same level with, and they enjoy the fact that they can look at somebody that started in the same situation as them, and they're able to be happy because of that. Like a good thing, homeless people, a good example. This is one of the phrases that I heard. A homeless person, they said, the people that I was homeless with, as soon as I became unhomeless, I wasn't cool with them no more. But we were the best of buds when we were homeless. We were the best of buds when we were down bad. That's because that's where y'all were at. But the moment that you exceeded, I'm pretty sure they started to hate on them. They started to have problems with those people. They couldn't even be as cool as they were before. That's why you got people that be like, oh, you don't win Hollywood, because some of these people legit just move on to better things in their life. And that's the whole point. People are not really there for you. They just want to see and compare themselves to you. When you start to recognize these things, the patterns of, I can't be real around none of these people. I can't truly be there. And most of the time, the people that were at your lowest, when you're really at your low and they're above you, those are most of the time one of your realest people. Now, I'm not saying that they're always, because there's plenty of people that become real jealous if you start to pass them and they were just above you. They were just higher than you. They become really upset and it irritates them that it was all cool until you ended up going past them. And that's just how that's going to go. You're going to meet plenty of people like that. I've met plenty of people just like that with this YouTube stuff. Like I done passed them in subscribers, and then they wanted to not follow me no more or subscribe or any of that type of stuff. But I still show love at the end of the day. But that's just the genuine part of me. But everybody's not genuine. Everybody's not going to be there for you the way you want them to be there for you. And like you got so many people that have people around them that don't realize that they're snakes. Like one of the biggest things I had to realize when I started to realize that people weren't really all as genuine as me or any of that type of stuff, was that it became very empty. You become very lonely when you start to actually hold people accountable, when you start to recognize that these people really ain't for me. And like I said, that's when you start asking those questions. If I can tell these people things, would they throw these things back in my face? Would they, if I get higher than them, would they start to feel any type of way or jealous, or just are they there for you in general? If you have to call them up and you need them, most of the people that you got on these social media apps, you can't call them up and ask for some help. That's because they're not really your friends. They're there for watching you as entertainment. They're there to compare themselves to make themselves feel better. And when you, like I said, when I started to realize that, it became very lonely, which the only thing that I can genuinely say that would comfort me in these moments was that I would rather be in a room by myself than in a room full of snakes. Because if you keep these people around you, you keep these people that really don't care for you, they tend to end up just taking advantage of you, or taking advantage of the fact that you don't think that they're that way. And they're like that. They don't care. They don't really have the best intentions for you just as much as you got for them. And, you know, you're not going to find a genuine person just around the corner or any of that type of stuff. It's pretty tough to find real friends out here. But the more you become more comfortable with yourself, the more you can spot out what people that you should have around in the first place. And once again, you don't want people that are not good for you around. It's way worse to have people that don't mess with you for real around you than you to just be alone rocking it out by yourself. And the world's not really as genuine, and it's gonna get worse as time passes. As time passes, the people from high school that was watching you, the gap is gonna get wider and wider. A lot of people are following people from high school thinking that they just genuinely want to see them go up in life. They want to see them prosper. But in reality, no. Once again, they're just watching you. They need somebody to cope with wherever they're at. And that level, the levels of where y'all are at, it's going to get even worse as time passes by. Like, think about it like this. I know people that's my age. I've been out of school for 4 years. I hope I did that math wrong. I mean, right. I hope it did it right. I know my math teacher, mad as I don't know what from school back then. But look, those people, they look at me now, and 100% they can tell that I took care of myself. I took care of myself in the 4 or 5 years that we have been out of school. I have taken care of myself. I'm got my body right, my mind's right. I'm still speaking perfectly fine, but you got to realize that not everybody has had that. Of course, there are people that are in bad positions now. That's a whole different story, because, people aren't always given the best positions to start life from. But as time passes, like I told you, that gap from when you were in school, it gets bigger and bigger. Me, I'm taking care of myself. I got my muscles right. I got my mind, I'm able to take care of myself. I'm not homeless. But a lot of the people that I was in school with, they can't say that same thing. A lot of people from school probably got children that they got to take care of, and maybe a baby mama that they not messing with, or they don't like the job that they work in, or any of that type of stuff. And it will mentally play a toll on you as time passes by. So I can only thank God, of course, just, and myself as well, just being able to say, yeah, I've been able to take care of myself up to this point. But you got to realize that we got plenty more time to go. If you're 25, 22, any of that type of stuff, you know how many more people you're going to meet in your life. You keep meeting people when you're 30. You keep meeting people when you're 40. You keep meeting people when you're 50. You keep meeting people regardless of how old you are. And that skill of being able to realize, oh, these people really ain't, they're not really for me. These people really ain't got my backs like how I would have my backs. When you increase on that, it's going to help you avoid a lot of the problems in the first place. But the people you probably got right now, you got to go ahead and start recognizing. I unfollow all of my people that I was on Instagram with. A lot of them still follow me, and I ain't got a problem with it 100%. But the people that I don't really I don't speak to them. They don't support me on my stuff that I do, which is another thing. Like, if you posting stuff and you saying support me or any of that type of stuff, just with a like, then they're literally just there to watch you. What is their point? You know, so I unfollow those folks. And at the end of the day, that's what that is. But you have to do those things for you when recognizing these people ain't got my intentions for me. They not as good as I am to them. You probably would go ahead and like some of their pictures or any of that type of stuff because you genuinely was like, I used to go to school with these people. I used to whatever. But they don't have your best intentions. They're not doing that same thing for you. And, you look at life as 50-50. In a relationship, you can't be holding that 50-50 and then not realizing that you're not holding everybody else around you at 50-50 too. Pay attention to everybody around you. That goes for family, friends, etc., the whole nine. Because if they're not putting themselves out for you, they're not doing things for you, they don't got your back like how you would do for them, because you got to hold yourself accountable and also be a good friend. But it got to be reciprocated both ways. And the only way you're going to really do that is if you start recognizing these people, they not really supporting me like how I would support them. But that was it, just short vid. I hope y'all mess with it. I'm going to try and stay as consistent as possible. I hope y'all are taking care of yourselves. See how I'm doing it to myself, so hold it down.